a die, roll a bunch of dice, do it as many times as you want. They will never remember what happened to them. But if you shuffle up a deck of cards and you start to draw from it one by one, the deck remembers everything that leaves it, and it will until you shuffle the deck up again and start over. The deck remembers. And you can see its memory. Pick it up and look at it. Everything that you just took out of the deck is not there. The probability of what you're going to draw next time if you put the deck back down is completely dependent on what you already did to it. Nonetheless, both cards and dice are considered randomizers. They generate luck. And while you can do a lot more with dice than just roll them like this for a randomization effect, we're seeing how they stack up against a deck of cards today purely as randomizers when they are rolled. However, before cubes, people threw astrogally, also known as animal bones. And as you can tell from looking at these, they didn't land evenly. Hey, that's not fair. But today's die is one of the most honest objects in gaming. When I roll this, it is completely fair. All 6 faces are identical symmetrically, so every outcome is equally likely. And that's thanks to the cube. Understanding the geometry of a cube allowed us to engineer fairness in the design process of dice. Then there are die with 4 sides, 8 sides, 12 sides, and the iconic D20's 20 sides. And yeah, it's 2026. There's a lot of non-regular dice adaptations out there that can roll fairly now, but those are cool, just not today's topic. And the history of dice is important because it was thousands of years before somebody actually printed randomization onto paper in the form of a deck of cards. But there's a thing that dice can never do. What are the odds that the next roll is a 6? The odds are exactly the same. I could roll no 6s for hundreds of rolls, and my gut will scream that one is due, but my gut is wrong. That's the gambler's fallacy. Casinos have been paying their bills with that for centuries. And that's why the jump from dice to cards accidentally changed the physics of randomization. A shuffled deck looks random in the same way that a die looks random. The top card could be anything, 1 out of 52 rather than 1 out of 6, but watch. It's intuitive. When this ace leaves the deck, it is changed permanently. Now there's only 3 left, and there's 51 cards total. Every time I draw, it changes again, every single card rewriting the odds of everything left inside. A deck generates luck from what's left inside of it. The past is physically baked into the deck of cards. It's not a metaphor. It literally is an updating machine of probability, and real games are built directly on top of that. If we go back to the casino, that's why blackjack has card counters. These people get banned for doing nothing but paying attention to what the deck is remembering. There is no equivalent of counting dice. There's nothing to count. Even if I had 52 dice on the table, they're never readable in the same way. Every time I roll one, it's not changing the outcome of the next dice unless I add a bunch of rules. This functional memory of a deck of cards allows it to tell a story, one where if you read the pieces on the table well enough, then you will be able to see the ending before it even arrives. If I keep not drawing the card that I need or want, the deck is only going to get richer in that card. It'll become more and more likely that I eventually find it. Unlike dice, I'm actually due to find the ace. Dice are ignorant to your suffering. They'll allow it to continue indefinitely. Even if it's not the most likely thing, you might continue to roll a number that loses you the game, and there is no response from the die that you're rolling. A deck can directly respond to the player's actions. It feels alive because it can offer mercy and punishment, but it only does so within the bounds of its construction. The construction gives you, the player, an equal hand and insight into the decisions that the deck is making. But I'm not just saying that these dice are more limited as a randomizer than a deck of cards is. See, there is an element that I haven't yet touched on. Really, the magic of a deck is that it can be shuffled. Think about what a shuffle actually is. Between shuffles, the deck is a memory machine. But the moment that you shuffle that, putting cards back in or reordering it, you have scrambled or erased the memory. Every card game is kind of answering one central question. When do we let the deck forget? Turn the dial to one end, shuffle once at the start and never again. That's blackjack or poker. One roll of the die and the entire game lives inside the memory of that. That's why counting cards works in these situations. That's why the tension builds instead of resetting. Turn the dial to the middle, reshuffling the deck every time it runs out. Then you've got something like Dominion or Slay the Spire, a deck builder. Every card that you buy goes into the deck, and the shuffles fold those cards back in. The shuffles aren't erasing the past, but compounding it, and I think that's one of the single most clever uses of shuffling a deck in modern game design. And then you can turn the dial to the opposite end. Shuffle the deck constantly, or draw from an effectively infinite pool. Constantly put cards back in instead of discarding them. Now, the deck's luck is collapsing back into something more similar to an actual die. The game can stay loud and swingy forever. So a deck of cards isn't just a die that can remember, it's a die where the designer is able to choose when it remembers and for how long. Uno, Magic, Solitaire, all of those have set dials on the deck's memory. Most of the time this is on purpose, other times it's on accident or manipulated by the player's deck building decisions. And here's why I care about this, as someone struggling to build a card game myself. I'm finding out quickly that randomness is not seasoning. It's actually a very large part of game design, believe it or not. It decides who your game's target audience really is in a lot of ways. If you allow your game to implement heavy dice-style luck, be it through cards or literal dice, games are much closer. Children can beat their parents, new players can beat veterans. It's because the memory of the deck or the universe of the game doesn't allow your skill, your expression, or your own choices to fully compound into something meaningful or different. And that's not a flaw. That's why Uno is playable by any family at any table on the entire planet. Game design that focuses on deck-style memory does the opposite of this. It allows player skill to accumulate. The player that pays more attention to what's left can slowly and invisibly get an advantage that wouldn't otherwise be noticeable. That's why poker can be a profession for some and gambling for most. And the thing is, neither of these approaches to game design is correct, but they're also not interchangeable. While the game I'm designing might end up using dice rolls as some kind of system, dice are always going to forget you the moment that they land on the table. And personally, I'd rather be remembered. So that is why I know the game I'm making will be a card game. But more on my own game design will be coming soon, and until next time, keep playing games.